Landlords can firstly look at identifying problems before they become a problem. Foreseeing problems always helps you to save costs as well. So that could be in relation to the tenant. If the tenant's paying late, it's obviously raised red flags. I think maybe the tenants are doing so well. That could become an issue down the track, especially if you're on a long-term lease. Having a good relationship with your tenant, being quite transparent with them, sitting down with them, talking about their issues is always a good start. In terms of the building itself, they're seeing problems as well with the facilities of the building, your air conditioning, the roller doors. If they're old, haven't been maintained well, they can be big ticket items when they come up, when they break down. So, there's software systems out there that people can help with lease management and things, so which are basically just outlining your key events coming up within your leases, so renewals, rent reviews, items like that, which if missed can be quite costly and can be quite tough to exercise as well. So it doesn't take a software to do that. A simple diary always helps as well. So. The leases and differ quite a bit between residential and commercial. Commercial being a lot more complex, there's a lot more obligations on the landlord as well to meet. It just takes a bit more management, so you need to be proactive about it and have a longer term view than just being a bit more reactive and dealing with things as they come a problem, which is generally the case with residential. Commercial property is a lot more complex, so there's a lot more things that can go wrong, particularly with buildings. There's issues around asbestos now with the new regulations. Health and safety is a big key thing. A lot of landlords don't really want to hear about it, but it's quite important to take care of. They could be costly in the long term as well, especially with industrial properties where there's lots of activity on a day-to-day basis. People get hurt. The last thing landlords need are problems with that and being responsible and reliable for those things. In terms of the tenants and leases themselves, there's a lot more management goes into having a good relationship with the tenant. Where you may not hear from your residential tenants, commercial, you need to be speaking with your tenants all the time. There might be good reasons they miss rent payments and so on, or miss payments to do with the outgoings and things like that. And unless you're talking to them on a regular basis, then you're not going to know what's going on within their business as well. Proactive management really comes down to, and effective management comes down to investing time into it. There's no other way about doing it. So that starts with investing time with, as I said, with your tenant as well, getting a good relationship with them going, good relationships with agents as well, talking to the agents about what's happening in the market. In case the unforeseen happens and you lose a tenant, you need to be what's happening in the market, who's in the market, managing the building and the facilities, and having a long-term view about that, putting capital expenditure plans in place. So when it comes to times to put a new roof on the building, you've accounted for that as well. That takes time to set up. The other things are you're constantly dealing with putting out fires. If you're not putting out these little issues and little fires that become bigger and bigger down the track, lots of landlords don't have the time to do that. We deal with that on a day-to-day basis and know how to deal with those issues properly. Yep, that is something that generally they can recover. Simply that's generally outlined within the lease. If a landlord goes and reviews their lease, looks in the outgoing schedule, generally, the management fees built into that lease. Unless it's a gross lease, maybe tenants have negotiated to scrub out a management fee, but generally that's not the case and can be recovered. Essentially, the landlord can remove his responsibilities and time and effort of actually managing that property and pass it on to a professional property manager to deal with and take no cost to them generally. I think a lot of landlords out there think that it's a very reactive role where we sort of sit back and collect rent and deal with things as they become a problem, but it's certainly not the case. You need to have a very holistic approach in terms of managing properties. So that involves a really long-term approach to things, being very proactive about stuff, dealing with problems before they're actually a problem, and that happens all the time within commercial property management. Constantly looking at leases, looking at tenants, with the view to always trying to add value and always trying to de-risk any risks that happen around the property.